Modi begins big corruption counter-strike.
मेरे खिलाफ साजिशें रचेंगे, लेकिन उन्हें पता नहीं है, जो डर जाए वो मोदी नहीं हो सकता.
Shares stage with Congress Chief Minister, then bashes him.
कुशासन और भ्रष्टाचार के दाग को कांग्रेस अब झूठी गारंटियों से छिपाने की कोशिश कर रही है.
After Karnataka loss, on corruption plank, BJP's mission to bash opposition on graft.
आइए करतल ध्वनि से पुनः अभिवादन करें.
Mission opposition corruption revealed.
Good to have you back here on 5 Live with me, Shiv Aroor. Thanks as always for joining me. Prime Minister Modi is in his Karm Bhumi of Varanasi. It's his Lok Sabha constituency as well. 10 months to go for the big 2024 election. But what a day it has been. Very significant because the Prime Minister has just signaled, we think, that the road to 2024 is going to be fought on a big anti-corruption plank, which is precisely what the opposition has been using to beat the BJP up with in the last few months. That's the big story we're tracking here. We'll take you across to Varanasi as soon as the Prime Minister reaches there as well. Let's get you straight to the top stories. No relief for Rahul Gandhi, remains disqualified as Member of Parliament. Gujarat High Court calls conviction just and legal, says refusing stay on conviction won't result in injustice. Congress cries foul over Gujarat High Court verdict on Rahul Gandhi, says will move Supreme Court next. BJP calls Rahul a habitual offender in defamation. BJP gets battle ready for assembly elections this year. New state chiefs appointed for 4 state elections. Prahlad Joshi given charge of Rajasthan. Prakash Javadekar for Telangana. Court takes cognizance of sexual harassment case against Wrestling Federation chief Brij Bhushan Singh. Summons WFI boss on the 18th of this month. After the launch of Twitter alternative Threads app by Instagram, Elon Musk threatens to sue Meta and Mark Zuckerberg over unlawful misappropriation of Twitter's trade secrets and IP. It's the Modi government's big mega corruption counter-strike that we are witnessing playing out in the political battlefield of the country. The Prime Minister was in Congress-ruled Chhattisgarh earlier today. He's now in Uttar Pradesh. His ministers, his team has launched what is looking very much like an organized anti-corruption counter-strike against the opposition that's trying to unite against him. After the Karnataka debacle for the BJP on partially the corruption plank, remember that's where the 40% Sarkara campaign was fought against the BJP. Now the BJP, it seems, has mounted a big anti-corruption backhand directed at the opposition. The BJP's corrupt opposition or chore opposition campaign appears to have begun in earnest. Like I said, just a few hours ago, the Prime Minister was in Chhattisgarh, a Congress-ruled state that goes to the elections this year. Just hours after the Prime Minister shared a stage with Congress Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, Bhupesh Baghel, he was on another stage where he pointed a finger directly at the sitting Chief Minister from the Congress party, calling him corrupt. Take a look. This is a big declaration of war on the issue of anti-corruption, this time by the BJP against the opposition.
जो डर जाए वो मोदी नहीं हो सकता.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi firing fresh salvos at the Congress in Chhattisgarh on Friday as he sounded the poll bugle in the state.
जो डर जाए वो मोदी नहीं हो सकता. छत्तीसगढ़ के विकास के सामने एक बहुत बड़ा पंजा दीवार बन के खड़ा हो गया है। ये कांग्रेस का पंजा है। ये पंजा आपसे आपका हक छीन रहा है।
Modi claimed the Congress was offering freebie guarantees to voters to cover up corruption under Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel's rule.
कुशासन और भ्रष्टाचार के दाग को कांग्रेस अब झूठी गारंटियों से छिपाने की कोशिश कर रही है। आपको ऐसी झूठी गारंटियों से बहुत सतर्क और सावधान रहने की जरूरत है।
Calling corruption the Congress's biggest ideology, Prime Minister Modi vowed to root out bribery.
मोदी को डिगा पाएंगे? देश के हर भ्रष्टाचारी को एक बात कान खोलकर सुन लेनी चाहिए। वो अगर भ्रष्टाचार की गारंटी है तो मोदी भ्रष्टाचार पर कार्रवाई की गारंटी है। मैं चाहूंगा
Launching an all-out attack on the ruling Congress party in the state, the Prime Minister claimed Chhattisgarh had become a mafia land.
कोल माफिया, सैंड माफिया, लैंड माफिया, न जाने कैसे कैसे माफिया यहां फल फूल रहे हैं।
This is Prime Minister Modi's first visit to the Congress-ruled state after being elected as Prime Minister for a second term in 2019. The BJP is banking on Modi's popularity to topple Baghel in Chhattisgarh. Bureau Report, India Today. Not surprising at all that the Chhattisgarh government has fired right back at the Chief Minister. It's erupted into a big war of words now. Chhattisgarh's newly named Deputy Chief Minister T.S. Singh Deo has responded to the Prime Minister, says the defamation case against Rahul Gandhi proves that it is in fact the BJP that is scared. Listen in.
ने गलत किया है वो बचेगा नहीं। और ये कहने की हिम्मत मैं इसलिए रख रहा हूं क्योंकि मेरे पास जो कुछ भी है वो आपका दिया हुआ है, वो देश का दिया हुआ है। ये लोग मेरे पीछे पड़ेंगे, मेरी कब्र खोदने की धमकी दे देंगे, मेरे खिलाफ साजिश रचेंगे, लेकिन उन्हें पता नहीं है जो डर जाए वो मोदी नहीं हो सकता। साथियों, कांग्रेस जितनी चाल चल ले, लेकिन छत्तीसगढ़ के लोगों को आगे ले जाने के संकल्प से मोदी पीछे नहीं हटेगा।
कांग्रेस करप्शन बात जोड़ने का प्रश्न ही नहीं उठता। कांग्रेस तो एक संस्था है, संस्था करप्ट कैसे हो सकती है? करप्ट होगा तो कोई व्यक्ति होगा। और मोदी जी ने जिन बातों को कहा उसके पहले छत्तीसगढ़ में जो पीडीएस का स्कैम हुआ था, छत्तीसगढ़ में 36,000 करोड़ का पीडीएस का स्कैम हुआ था, 3 करोड़ 62 लाख रुपए नगद कार्यालयों से बरामद हुए थे, उसकी जांच क्यों नहीं कराई? तो ये एक तरफा कार्रवाई करने का प्रयास, दबाव बनाने का प्रयास, अनैतिक प्रयास। ठीक है, हम लोग अपने रास्ते पे जनहित के काम में लगे रहेंगे, बढ़ते रहेंगे आगे।
Now, make no mistake, the Prime Minister's clean image has been a big factor in the BJP's electoral wins. But ironically, it was an anti-corruption issue combined with extravagant freebies that allowed the Congress to vanquish the BJP most recently in Karnataka. Well, with the war for 2024 truly on, it is clear that the Prime Minister and the BJP will be playing big by painting the opposition as completely corrupt and united by corruption. Remember, the Prime Minister's first attack on the united opposition soon after the mega Gathbandhan meet in Patna was that it was a group of corrupt people who were coming together against his government's anti-corruption impulses. Had taken to a stage just days after the big Patna meet between all the opposition parties to take each one of them by name, including most recently the NCP, to brand them as corrupt. He didn't take specific names, but he did name the parties. And that appears to have been the beginning of a new corrupt opposition mission by the BJP. So across states, we've shown you what the Prime Minister said today in Chhattisgarh, but it's happening across states, and that's the reason why we believe this is an organized counterattack. The BJP is fighting on the front foot on the issue of corruption after losing on the 40% Sarkara charge in Karnataka just weeks ago. This was a tweet put out by the BJP in Karnataka just yesterday, suggesting that Yatindra, the son of Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, is the real shadow chief minister, and a thread of corruption runs right through the new Karnataka Sarkara. That theme is continuing by the BJP in Karnataka now as well. Just weeks ago, 40% Sarkara was the weapon used to beat the BJP and the Bombay government out of office, and now the tables are being turned by the BJP. Next, the Mahapawar quake that has been built around the corruption theme as well. Remember, just a couple of weeks after the Prime Minister had labelled the NCP as corrupt, a big split took place in the NCP with the Ajit Pawar faction, which, mind you, the BJP had also named corrupt very specifically, has joined the BJP and the government now in Maharashtra. Once again there, corruption, the running and central theme to what's going on.
ये दल गारंटी है भ्रष्टाचार की। अगर मैं एनसीपी की बात करूं तो एनसीपी पर भी करीब 70,000 करोड़ रुपए के घोटालों का आरोप है। इनकी लिस्ट भी बहुत लंबी है। इन पार्टियों के घोटालों का मीटर कभी डाउन ही नहीं होता।
नॅशनलिस्ट काँग्रेस पार्टी एनसीपी ला काय म्हणायचे? नॅचरली करप्ट पार्टी. त्याच्यामुळे माझा आज आरोप आहे भारतीय जनता पक्षावर, या देशामध्ये सगळ्यात करप्ट पार्टी कुठली असेल?
Well, the NCP is the most memorable anti-corruption attack right now because they're in the news because of the big Maharashtra quake, the big implosion of the NCP there. But remember, the BJP over the last few weeks has been singling out specifically each and every major opposition party. If it was the NCP, it was also the Trinamool that was singled out. Here's how another Modi minister very recently had targeted the Trinamool under Mamata Banerjee, again on the issue of corruption. There's a pattern here.
ममता बनर्जी जी के राज में चिट फंड घोटाला हो, कोयला घोटाला हो या फिर कट मनी हो, और अब जिस तरह से शिक्षकों का घोटाला हुआ और 21 करोड़ रुपया एक सहयोगी के घर पे मिला, तो आप कल्पना कीजिए कितना बड़ा घोटाला होगा। ममता बनर्जी जी भ्रष्टाचार के रिकॉर्ड तोड़ रहे हैं। ममता बनर्जी और अरविंद केजरीवाल जी में होड़ लगी है कि कौन ज़्यादा करप्शन करता है। केजरीवाल जी ने डिपार्टमेंट कोई नहीं रखा, लेकिन बाकी मंत्रियों को डिपार्टमेंट देकर पूरी खुली छूट दे रखी है लूट करने की।
Also the DMK, also KCR, also the BRS, also every other opposition party you can think of, whether it is the left, whether it is the Congress party, whether it is the BRS, the Trinamool, DMK, they are all in the purview of the Prime Minister's new anti-corruption counter-strike. Here's a meeting between the Prime Minister and KCR not very long ago, but now with Telangana on the horizon for elections, the BRS and KCR are also a justifiable target for the BJP on the issue of corruption. Now let me take you through how the Prime Minister, Team Modi, the BJP are specifically naming and shaming the opposition on specific corruption issues. Rahul Gandhi, the Enforcement Directorate is probing the National Herald case. Akhilesh Yadav of the Samajwadi Party accused in illegal sand mining case. That's something the BJP is going to town with. Tejasvi Yadav in Bihar under the CBI lens in Benami properties cases. Supriya Sule of the NCP accused in the Lavasa land scam. BJP making a big deal out of that. K. Kavita, the BRS chief and Chief Minister of Telangana's daughter, named in the infamous Delhi liquor gate case. So there's not a single major opposition party on the road to 24 that is not being hit with the corruption bat, and it's all part of an organized attack by the BJP. Take a look at some of the recent corruption attacks on the BJP as well. Remember, this is a two-way street, and the BJP, having been battered on the issue of corruption for many, many weeks and months now, has decided to take the same issue, flip it over, and hand it back to the opposition. The 40% Sarkara campaign, the Pay CM campaign in Karnataka, the most visible recent example of an anti-corruption political issue being made during an election. The campaign claiming a scam in the Adani group and linkages with the Modi government, that's been a running theme that the Congress especially has been taking up. Then most recently there was the campaign against India's looming deal for Predator drones from the United States. It's a campaign that sank without a trace, shoot and scoot politics by the Congress party. But again, it gives you a sense of how corruption is the flavor of the season on both camps, both the government camp and the opposition camp. Who is more credible? Who is in a better position to be a credible anti-corruption mascot? Perhaps will be one of the big things going into this big election season. We're taking a very quick break. Remember, the big political developments will always be first here on India Today. But on the other side, there's another war that's breaking online. If you haven't guessed it already, it's the big tech bro war between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg over the launch of Twitter's new rival, courtesy Instagram. It's called Threads. We'll tell you all about it next.
Armed with facts, she takes the news by its horns.
You think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories. From every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
India's Silicon Valley and Karnataka's capital, Bengaluru, is a crumbling mess. The IT city is plagued by traffic jams, frequent waterlogging, potholed roads. The list of woes is long and has been begging attention for years now. But Karnataka's politicians have bigger concerns to address, like how to get through a highway toll plaza in comfort. Assembly Speaker UT Khadir on Thursday suggested that the National Highways Authority of India should create a VIP lane for MLAs and former MLAs.
Seniors XML are told in the NHA guidelines policy where they have got already emergency and representative lane is there. In that MLAs and other names are specified. Ex-MLAs are not specified. We are also respected and dignified and and aged also. So for us also, you should consider the request.
Demand for a VIP lane for MLAs and former MLAs came after Congress MLA PM Narendra Swamy claimed harassment at a toll plaza.
Pass is issued. It is not for everyone. Pass is issued to the elected representatives only. When the treatment of those toll guys are like this, can you ask us to behave gently with them?
The speaker's demand for a separate lane triggered sharp reactions. The BJP pointed out that a VIP lane for lawmakers already exists.
Already there is a VIP lane. Already there is a VIP line. We should be allowed in that VIP line is important. Probably in this direction, the ambulance and the VIP line has been already created. So only thing is, we have to be included, has to be looked into it. Probably let us see what Honorable Speaker has been suggesting.
BJP MP Tejasvi Surya called the Congress elitist for seeking a VIP lane. Karnataka PWD minister has denied any plan to add more VIP lanes.
ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ನ ಕೇಳಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ನೇಮಿಸ್ತೀವಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ಸೇರಿಸಬೇಕು ಯಾವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ಕಮಿಟಿ ಮೇಲೆ ನಿರ್ಧಾರ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು ಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ
The Karnataka speaker's demand for separate lane for MLAs at toll plazas has reignited the debate on the VVIP racism that pervades the system. Bureau Report, India Today.
Modi will be reaching Varanasi, his Lok Sabha constituency, very, very shortly to announce a series of projects in that holy city. We'll be cutting across to that live. But just before the Prime Minister is on his way to Varanasi, he was in Gorakhpur. Remember, that's the city of Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. He will be heading to Varanasi in a short while. He attended the closing ceremony of the Gita Press centenary celebrations weeks after his government conferred the Gandhi Peace Prize for the year 2021 on the publisher. The decision triggered, remember, a political controversy back then, with the Congress calling the move a travesty and comparing it with awarding Hindutva ideologue Veer Savarkar and Gandhi's killer Nathuram Godse. The controversy aside, the Gita Press is one of the world's largest publishers, having published 417 million books in 14 languages, include 162 million copies of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. In Gorakhpur, the Prime Minister will also flag off the Gorakhpur-Lucknow Vande Bharat Express. This is something he did earlier. In his constituency of Varanasi, the Prime Minister will inaugurate and lay the foundation of projects worth more than 12,000 crore rupees, including the Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay Junction, Sonnagar railway line of the dedicated freight corridor.
हमारी सरकार ने गीता प्रेस को गांधी शांति पुरस्कार भी दिया है। गांधी जी का गीता प्रेस से भावनात्मक जुड़ाव था। एक समय में गांधी जी कल्याण पत्रिका के माध्यम से गीता प्रेस के लिए लिखा करते थे और मुझे बताया गया कि गांधी जी ने सुझाव दिया था कि कल्याण पत्रिका में विज्ञापन न छापे जाएं। कल्याण पत्रिका आज भी गांधी जी के उस सुझाव का 100% अनुसरण कर रही है। मुझे खुशी है कि आज ये पुरस्कार गीता प्रेस को मिला है। ये देश की ओर से गीता प्रेस का सम्मान है। इसके योगदान का सम्मान है और इसकी 100 वर्षों की विरासत का सम्मान है। साथियों, गीता प्रेस विश्व का ऐसा इकलौता प्रिंटिंग प्रेस है जो सिर्फ एक संस्था नहीं है बल्कि एक जीवंत आस्था है। गीता प्रेस का कार्यालय करोड़ों करोड़ लोगों के लिए किसी भी मंदिर से जरा भी कम नहीं है। इसके नाम में भी गीता है और इसके काम में भी गीता है। और जहां गीता है वहां साक्षात कृष्ण है और जहां कृष्ण है वहां करुणा भी है, कर्म भी है, वहां ज्ञान का बोध भी है और विज्ञान का शोध भी है। क्योंकि गीता का वाक्य है वासुदेवः सर्वम, वासुदेवः सर्वम। सब कुछ वासुदेवमय है, सब कुछ वासुदेव से ही है, सब कुछ वासुदेव में ही है। मैंने लाल किले से कहा था और आपको याद होगा मैंने लाल किले से कहा था कि ये समय गुलामी की मानसिकता से मुक्त होकर अपनी विरासत पर गर्व करने का समय है। और इसलिए शुरुआत में भी मैंने कहा आज देश विकास और विरासत दोनों को साथ लेकर चल रहा है। आज एक और भारत डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी में नए रिकॉर्ड बना रहा है तो साथ ही सदियों बाद काशी में विश्वनाथ धाम का दिव्य स्वरूप भी देश के सामने प्रकट हुआ है। आज हम वर्ल्ड क्लास इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बना रहे हैं तो साथ ही केदारनाथ और महाकाल महालोक जैसे तीर्थों की भव्यता के साक्षी भी बन रहे हैं। सदियों बाद अयोध्या में भव्य राम मंदिर का सपना, हमारा सपना पूरा होने जा रहा है।
And up next, the big social media dhamaka from Silicon Valley. Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg. Twitter taken on by Facebook's brand new Twitter clone. It's called Threads. How is it doing? Well, it's the fastest to 1 million users and beyond. And it's a big threat to Elon Musk's dreams. The full story comes up next.
She's a fitness expert and I'm going to show you all the different ways to achieve your fitness goals. If you see, I'm hanging by a harness over here. Very interesting because I'm about to do aerial bungee jumping. Anushka is an expert at that. She's going to teach me and Nitika how to do this. It combines dance, acrobatics and lets you achieve your overall fitness goals.
These workouts help you defy gravity and make you use body weights to propel movements. You are strapped to a harness, a bungee cord that is secured to the ceiling. This form of workout has been around for many years, but only just recently picking momentum in India, quite literally. Here you can see Nitika and me having a lot of fun. A dance-like routine, lunges, jumps and Peter Pan-like movement. How does this even help?
You burn your beautiful calories in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
Second, you sweat because you sweat, your pores get open and activated.
Yeah.
Because of your heart pumping, there's so much of blood rush, your blockages get open.
Yeah.
Then you have knees functioning. So the function of your knee, because the format in such a way that it's a low impact.
These exercises are extremely nice. They are basically taking off the weight from your joints. There are certain injuries that you're still predisposed to, especially if you are a person who has low back pain involvement of any kind. So if you're an osteoporotic person, bungee jumping may not be, or the bungee exercises may not be the best workout for you.
Aerial bungee fitness has a lot of benefits. Not only is it a full body workout, it's also low impact exercise, making it suitable for anyone susceptible to injuries. It will give you core strength and stability and enhanced flexibility. It also helps with stress relief and mood enhancement, which is a given with any workout.
They're jumping up in the air and giving each other a high five, and guess what? They're burning a lot of calories while doing it. Why would you not go in for an exercise which is so much fun? Now, just to give you a download, one session can cost you anything between 800 to 1000 rupees, and you should ideally do it thrice a week to maintain that continuity. I've had a great session with you doing this workout. Tell me a little bit about who should not do this, because it involves a lot of movement.
Okay, so talking about who should not do this, because it's definitely very hard on your heart. So anybody with heart diseases will not perform bungee. Second, pregnant ladies, anybody with knee injuries, any fracture which has not been healed cannot perform this.
Why does this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mode.
A social media war for the ages that has erupted and taken the world by storm. Of course, you know that we're talking about the big war between Musk and Zuck, and it's getting bigger with each passing minute. After challenging each other to a cage fight a few weeks ago, the tussle has now exploded into a courtroom. The beef this time is over Meta's new social media app called Threads, which is basically a Twitter clone. Well, Elon Musk, who you remember forked out $44 billion to buy Twitter, is accusing Zuckerberg of using Twitter's trade secrets to take on Twitter and launching an app very much like it called Threads. Well, basically Elon Musk has signaled to Zuckerberg, I'll see you in court. Take a look at the story.
From a cage fight to a court fight. Days after the launch of Twitter rival Threads, Elon Musk is taking his fight against Mark Zuckerberg to a whole new level. The Twitter boss has now threatened legal action against Zuckerberg for Meta's latest creation, Threads. The Threads platform, developed by Meta, bears a suspicious resemblance to Elon Musk's Twitter, allowing users to share their thoughts with a public audience in a simple text format.
Now the idea is there's an amazing community on Instagram and wonderful creators. We want to create a space where they can engage in public conversations that is friendly and that is open. And so we're going to bring a lot of the good tools from Instagram to Threads. Things like hidden words and restrict, which allow you to shape the experience into something a little bit more friendly. Things like our community guidelines, and over time, more features around recommendations and trends.
In just 2 days of its launch on Wednesday, Threads has already gained 30 million signups and counting, taking advantage of Instagram's billions of users to grow at this record-breaking rate. And while Musk all along acted totally cool about Zuckerberg's Threads, he's now said enough is enough. The reason for suing Threads? In a letter from Twitter's lawyer to Zuckerberg, Meta is being accused of having access to Twitter's trade secrets and other highly confidential information. Musk was quick to take to Twitter to respond to the situation, saying that competition is fine, cheating is not. Despite accusations that Meta cheated by hiring former Twitter employees and learning the tricks of Twitter's trade, a former senior employee of Twitter said that they were not aware of any former staffers working on Threads or any senior people working in Meta at all. Could Elon Musk just be grasping at Threads? What evidence does Musk have of these lofty accusations? In court, a little birdie may not cut it. All of this remains to be seen once the tech titans take it to the courtroom.
Could Elon Musk be grasping at Threads? What evidence does Musk have for these lofty accusations? A little birdie may not cut it in court. All this remains to be seen when the tech titans take it to the courtroom. This is Anya Niharika-Schutz for India Today.
Okay, so now let's just break down for you, how quickly Threads has become one of the most used apps, just in terms of a simple metric. How long it has taken for Threads to acquire 1 million users. Now, obviously, it's difficult to compare because Threads obviously enjoys the ecosystem and publicity that all these platforms actually give it. But it has taken barely 1 hour for Threads to acquire over 1 million subscribers, accounts, 1 million users. It took 5 days for ChatGPT to acquire 1 million users. It took 76 days for Instagram to do the same thing. Spotify took 152 days. Facebook took nearly a year. Twitter took practically 2 years to achieve that same kind of scale, and you can see those numbers there for Netflix. Just a fun little comparison of how rapidly viral Threads has gone and how it has been able to acquire 1 million users very, very quickly. Let me get in our resident experts in on this big fight. Banas Tiwari is Senior Assistant Editor with IndiaToday.in. Ayush Elavadi is Technology Editor with Business Today Television. Welcome, guys. Ayush, to you first. Right off the bat, Elon Musk suing Threads and Meta, claiming that intellectual properties have been stolen, trade secrets have been stolen. We're all waiting for that cage match. We hadn't accounted for the fact that there probably will be a courtroom fight as well.
Shiv, Elon and Mark are at it again. And these two have been at each other's throats for the longest time. I can remember reporting on this back in 2016, 2017. It was verbal spats then and an exchange on social media talking about the future of AI. One said AI would be a doomsday-like scenario. The other one said it's going to be perfectly smooth sailing. Then we know all about them challenging each other to a cage match. And this happens, of course, only with US and the entertainment that comes out from some of these narratives. And then now we have a lawsuit. I don't know how much of this goes into, publicity for the big mixed martial arts sort of cage match. But yes, this is a serious accusation, Shiv. That said, about it being a copycat platform, when you get into the bare technicalities of what they're planning to do with Threads and what they've managed to do with that timeline that you just alluded to, well, then it is a very different path for Threads. Right now, at this point, without ads and monetization and the verification, the paid verification that we're also used to, it looks like a very bare copycat original version of Twitter. The reason, of course, that the timelines you pointed out to, 1 hour for them to get to 1 million, ChatGPT took much longer, Instagram took 75 days, and of course it went on. It is one, the Gen Z factor with the way that they're latching on to it. Two, it's a captive audience that Adam Mosseri and Mark Zuckerberg are working with. You're on Instagram, you got to go straight onto Threads because you've really worked with the buzz out there. And also, there is a lot of clarifications needed from the Threads and Instagram team because as of now, if you delete your Threads app, which you've automatically onboarded onto, well, then you'll also lose your Instagram account because there's so many correlations with verification working on both of them. So there's a lot of stuff happening over there. But coming to the point about the lawsuit, Shiv, Andy Stone, that's Meta's communications director, actually did respond to these claims today and said that Threads engineering team does not even have one former Twitter employee. It remains to be seen. It remains to be seen whether there's actually a theft of intellectual property And I'm just not quite sure whether this is a little bit of a smokescreen before the big cage match that happens very shortly.
Interestingly, and we're all waiting for that cage match, courtroom drama, I'm sure we'll all welcome as well. It's always good for, for users and customers when the big companies go at each other because it makes everything less expensive as well, I imagine, theoretically. But Manas, the numbers are impressive. 30 million plus subscribers in a matter of a day, 1 million subscribers in an hour. Very, very understandable. Meta has a huge ecosystem. Anyone using Instagram has been bombed by, prompts to go and join threads. So it's not surprising. These numbers are hardly, hardly something to be, surprised by. But one is wondering whether threads can actually kill Twitter. Twitter is big. It's a legacy social media platform. The idea, of course, is to take as many people away from Twitter. What are you hearing? How do you see this playing out?
See, saying that a platform like Threads can actually go on and kill Twitter would not be fair because it's still relatively new. What we have to understand is that Twitter has been around for a while. What works for Threads is though the timing at which it has been launched. There have been attempts in the past. Of course, there's been a Mastodon, Blue Sky, other platforms have tried to give you an alternative for Twitter. But this time, first of all, the timing, because over the last 1 year, what we have seen, there's a lot of controversies going around Twitter. Every other morning you get up, you get to hear some new feature which people are not really happy with. Over the weekend also we saw there was this new readers limit that was imposed by Twitter, and a lot of these people have come out and vocally said that they're not very happy with how the platform is sort of working, and they've been looking for an alternative. And at the right time, probably Mark Zuckerberg has come up with this Threads app. And another thing that we have to understand is that unlike some of the other platforms like a Mastodon or a Blue Sky, what works for Threads is that it already has a very huge user base of Instagram and even Meta. And one thing which they have done very smartly is that when you log into Threads, what you can do is you can follow all your Instagram followers at once, which give you a ready-made user base when you start using the fresh app. And it has sort of helped Threads acquire that sort of user base. And of course, it has the backing of Meta. It has both the financial backing, the technical backing. They have the sort of engineers, the engineering team, which it is required to run a platform like this. So yes, initial days definitely look promising. We finally have one app which can genuinely go neck and neck with Twitter, give it a tough competition. But I would still be apprehensive to believe that it can actually go on and kill Twitter, because in the past we have seen so many of these social media platforms which have come. Clubhouse is an example which just came and sort of disappeared. Nobody talks about it now. TikTok was another example. I mean, it had different issues that was banned in certain countries and all. But even then, we have seen so many different social media platforms create some sort of a buzz, and then they are not able to sustain that. So only time will tell. But yes, the initial signs are promising. The biggest thing which I said is that it has the backing of Mark Zuckerberg and Meta.
In terms of resources, in terms of money, I mean, there's no shortage of it. Unlike Twitter, which has actually been bleeding for a very long time, Threads and Instagram have no shortages, sitting on an enormous pile of cash. Ayush, people who use Twitter have been sort of dismayed by the Elon Musk brand of unpredictability that has come into the system. New rules every day, new things changing every day. People wondering, what's going to happen tomorrow. You can't read as many tweets as you wanted to. Paid blue ticks. Many things have been changing, and there's almost a whimsical quality that's come into Twitter. Plus, you've got the Malik of Twitter on Twitter, constantly saying stuff. In the earlier Twitter, Jack Dorsey was like an invisible figure. He'd tweet once in a while. Nobody really knew who he was. Here, the lead actor is Elon Musk, and he's always there. And he's proven to be an unpredictable character. Very much in the kind of shape of a Donald Trump, perhaps. But one is wondering whether all of this may actually drive people away from Twitter, towards something like a Threads, and maybe Zuckerberg and his team at Facebook and Meta have been watching these things taking place on Twitter and learnt those lessons and put them into this new platform.
Absolutely, Shiv. And honestly, as a power user of Twitter, look, you're quite a rock star out there. I implore you to use the Threads app and tell me what you think.
I have. I've signed up.
Someone who's, I'm glad, and I'm sure you'll be trending shortly with all the cool things that you do post. But it's interesting over there that you pointed out that all these antics of Elon Musk, since we've been tracking it on your, saw the eventual demise of Twitter. It's actually it's a point worth noting. What I really understand from how Threads is coming about, Adam Mosseri, who's running the shop out there, has also come out and said it's a risky endeavor, and you really shouldn't underestimate both Twitter and Elon. Look, there's a vibrant community out there for Twitter, but one thing they did get wrong was monetization. The truth of the matter is, the tides of our times tell us that there are revenue pressures operating in the content world, across the media, and across businesses, even in the tech world. There's a huge revenue pressure for Elon Musk. Hence, he's been experimenting a lot with the algorithm and with verification services. The copycat move that we need to know all about, and which is something that Zuckerberg's done all along, was verification that started automatically on Instagram, paid verification. But what I really want to understand over here is if Zuckerberg really does hold true to all his claims, the first one being that this is going to be the future of social media. He's going to take Threads, he claims, into ActivityPub. What is ActivityPub? It's a decentralized social media protocol that also powers stuff like Mastodon out there. Now, that's not ready at launch. But when this happens, Shiv, imagine as a content creator, do you want to have all your all your treasures and your revenues at the behest of a big tech company, or do you want to be empowered as a user, as a content creator? If that's the future, the YouTubes, the Instagrams and the Twitters all need to stand up and perhaps take notice if that's what he's going to do. That said, I completely agree with you. We're talking about all the pressures on Elon Musk making him do these things. Very quickly, Mark Zuckerberg needed to pull a rabbit out of his hat out here. The Meta dream never worked. It was a pipe dream. It hasn't worked yet. In terms of verification, he's been getting desperate on Instagram. Instagram's got its own issues of bots, which Elon Musk perhaps should come in and comment on. But now with Threads, this is, a make or break moment for Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, Ayush and Manas, appreciate you guys joining me on it. See you on Threads, perhaps. I mean, the graveyard of dead social media platforms over the last decade is a very, very populated one. We've seen so many. Google has failed. Facebook has had platforms that have tanked. Microsoft tried its hand as well. And it's incredible. There are so many, including some of the ones that both Ayush and Manas just named. Well, Meta now has Threads, and it has launched to enormous reception. An app which is a direct rival to Twitter, ramping up this already bustling rivalry between Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, two big billionaires. On Threads, people can post text and links, reply, repost messages from others, basically very much like what you do on Twitter if you are on Twitter. In case you haven't caught up with this biggest new app, here's everything you need to know about it. The much anticipated battle between tech billionaires Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg has started. Zuckerberg has made the first move by launching a Twitter rival app called Threads. Instagram's text-based conversation app called Threads is now available for download for both Android and Apple users globally. Threads, just like Twitter, will allow users to post threads on the app and reply to others, all of which will be visible on your timeline. Threads also allows text up to 500 characters, links, pictures and videos up to 5 minutes in length. Meta has made it easy for Instagram users to join the new app by linking the two and allowing them to just port over. They do not have to change their handles and will be able to follow the same people as they do on Instagram. After just a couple of hours of the official rollout, Mark Zuckerberg announced on the app that the Threads app has passed 2 million signups in its first 2 hours live in the App Store. After the launch of Threads, Twitter is now surrounded by several rivals, including Jack Dorsey's Blue Sky and Mastodon. This battle is not just about platforms. For many, it's now become a battle of ideologies and money. Just recently, Twitter announced a rate limit restricting how many tweets users can see per day, which has upset many. Such tweaks can push users away from Twitter, making it easy for Zuckerberg's Threads to bring more subscribers on board. Although the rumored physical cage fight between Musk and Zuckerberg is still uncertain, the virtual battle has clearly begun. Bureau Report, India Today. And an Indian Air Force contingent has just departed from India and headed to France to be part of the prestigious Bastille Day celebrations. Indian Air Force Rafale fighters will be flying over Paris as part of a grand aviation display for France's National Day. The Indian Air Force has just released that wonderful patch as well to commemorate India's participation. And this picture you see here of the large Indian contingent, men, women, maintenance engineers, pilots, transport aircraft like the C-17, and of course Rafale fighters will be on their way as we speak towards Paris for the Bastille Day celebrations on the 14th of July. Remember, Prime Minister Modi will be one of the guests of honors this year at the Bastille Day celebrations by Paris. Let's go by France, I beg your pardon. Let's go straight across to India Today's Gaurav Sawant. Gaurav, very, very proud pictures of that Indian Air Force contingent. They're on their way to Paris now, Gaurav.
It indeed is. The special badge, the patch for Indian Air Force pilots and air crew and air warriors is amazing. Shiv India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the guest of honor at the Bastille Day. But as you well know, Indian Air Force and France, they've had a very long, a very warm association predating, India's independence. India has flown French aircraft, including fighters, from the beginning for Balakot airstrikes. The Mirages were used. The Rafales remain the mainstay of Indian air power as of now. So what we know is that there are 4 Rafales, 2 C-17 Globemasters that will take 72 air warriors to France for the Bastille Day. Point 1. Point 2. An Alouette pilot, squadron leader Murthy, she, is going to be leading the marching contingent, and she is a cheetah pilot. Alouette's mainstay of Indian Air Force and Army in Siachen Glacier and in high altitude for decades. The Warhorse, in fact, they've been flown much above their ceiling in saving lives or servicing troops and their requirements at the Siachen Glacier and the Northeast. So it also shows the close association between India and France as far as aviation is concerned. So very, very significant. The marching contingent, the fly past, and this badge that you see there, Shiv, the patch that you see.
And the marching contingent will be led by a young woman officer, squadron leader Sindhu of the Indian Air Force. We congratulate her. She's on your screen in this picture you see of squadron leader Sindhu along with other officers posing in front of an Indian Air Force C-17 aircraft, which is there for support operations. And 4 Indian Air Force Rafale fighters will be flying over the beautiful city of Paris for that Bastille Day flypast. It's a big honor as well, Gaurav. Marking the big relationship between India and France. Rafale fighters are of course from France. They've been supplied to India. So overall this is going to be a very prestigious event. Woman officer leading the marching contingent, not for the first time, very, very common nowadays, but India making it a point to send a woman officer to lead that contingent, also as a message about how women officers and their role in the Indian military is increasing month on month.
It indeed is. They've marched past the saluting dais at Kartavya Path now. They've led, combat operations. They're a very integral part of operations. They're commanding battalions. They're playing a very significant role. In fact, the lady officer who's marching in this, leading the Air Force contingent, is a helicopter pilot. And all her career, she's flown helicopters, the French Alouettes, the Chetaks as we call them in Indian Air Force, in Indian parlance. So it's not symbolic, it's significant and it's substantive. That's the message that India is also sending, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the guest of honor at the Bastille Day parade, Shiv.
Very, very impressive and very, very proud for all of the members of that amazing contingent. 68 people in all headed towards France as we speak. They'll be landing there. 14th is the Bastille Day parade. Obviously, you'll see all of that live right here on India Today. Gaurav, thank you very much for that. Well, happy landings to the Indian Air Force team. We'll be tracking them and bringing you updates once they arrive in Paris in a few hours from now. That's it on 5 Live. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you at the same time on Monday. But coming up next, we've got a big national exclusive with Gaurav Sawant. This is an ISIS terror dossier of the kinds you've never seen before. I urge you to watch this because this involves India and this involves us all. It's 2023's biggest terror expose, and that's my personal promise. It's coming right after this break.
The sinking town of Joshimath. These are images from January this year, when buildings in the town that serve as a base camp for pilgrims headed to Badrinath shrine suddenly developed cracks. The cause was ascertained to be land subsidence. Unsafe buildings were marked, some demolished. Those who lost their homes shifted to camps with the promise of adequate relief. 6 months later, Joshimath is still sinking, but the residents are back in their unsafe homes.
We are bringing you another exclusive report from Joshimath on India Today, where the families have moved back to the houses which were declared unsafe by the authorities in January when the Joshimath disaster unfolded. House number 1, where people are still living. House number 2, the red mark is still the declaration that this house is unfit, unsafe for living.
Many of the affected people were given shelter in nearby hotels. The residents claim as the tourist season started, they were told to leave the facilities. Among the many families are these two sisters, who have returned to a house that seems to be on the verge of collapsing.
अप्रैल में आ गए थे घर वापस, क्योंकि अब होटल में भी ये हो गया था कि हमारे टूरिस्ट आ रहे हैं, और दूसरी बात ये था कि हमने मुआवजे के लिए फॉर्म जमा कर दिया था और हमें मुआवजा मिल गया था, तो फिर हम लोगों को होटल में रहना अलाउड नहीं था, और खाना तो इन्होंने पहले ही बंद कर दिया था। 12 लाख रुपए उन्होंने हमारे हाथ पे पकड़ा दिया। 12 लाख रुपए में जोशीमठ की अगर बात करें, कोई भी पूछ ले, एक ही कमरे बनाने में यहाँ पे 7 से 8 लाख रुपए लगते हैं। 12 लाख रुपए में ना हमारे लिए घर बनेगा, और इतनी मतलब चेक पकड़ा दिया और तुम होटल के कमरे से निकलो, इतनी जल्दी घर बन जाएगा उस 12 लाख में?
Bhagwati Prasad used to run a hotel in Joshimath. His son had quit his job in Bengaluru to join the business. In January, everything changed. The family claims they are yet to get any relief.
ये तोड़ तो दिया, लेकिन इसका कोई मुआवजा मिलने की संभावना नहीं है। जो मेरी प्रशासन से बात हुई, उनका कहना यह है कि ये जो आपके पहाड़ी क्षेत्र में जो भी मकान बनते हैं, वो टिन के हों, पठाल के हों, पत्थर के हों, इनको हम कच्चे की श्रेणी में लेते हैं, ये पक्के की श्रेणी में नहीं आता है।
जनवरी से लेके आज तक इन्हीं आधे निकाल के हम आंसू नहीं रोक पा रहे, बहुत दुख है। होना चाहिए सरकार को भी सद्बुद्धि। हमने विरोध नहीं किया, सरकार अपनी है, देश अपना है, प्रदेश अपना है, हम विरोध नहीं करेंगे, लेकिन हम ये जरूर बोलेंगे कि क्यों आप इतने अंधे बने हुए हैं।
Why does this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mode.
It was a couple of decades ago when Motorola
single-handedly revolutionized the whole mobile phone industry when it launched the first foldable that we'd all ever first seen. But now these foldable phones are making a comeback. We saw Samsung revive this trend a couple of years ago, and now all the other companies are sort of hopping on this bandwagon. But are we, the people, ready for foldable phones to be a trend yet again? And mind you, it's only available in Android, not an iPhone. So would people be picking a foldable Android phone over an iPhone? We're here to find out. So if you had to pick between an iPhone and a foldable phone?
Foldable. I will like a regular phone.
iPhone. I think iPhone is the best.
Foldable. It would be a foldable phone. I would choose a non-foldable.
Well, I would prefer a foldable phone.
As a clumsy person itself, I will prefer a regular phone.
What would you pick? Would you flip, fold or nothing, or just go with an iPhone? Or would you want an iPhone that's foldable?
Currently nothing, because I think the hinge mechanism is not there yet, and maybe right now the foldable phones are pricing only at the flagship level. So if they price it at mid-range level, then maybe I will consider them, but till then not. Because sure, it's nice to see new technology, but I don't find it that useful. Yeah, there's some cool features you can flip it, it's compact, but then I don't find those features useful. Plus it might cost a bit extra, so better to just stick with a standard one.
I would prefer a regular phone itself, because I feel the flip phone are much heavier to handle, and again it creases very easily. Fold is technically very big for my hand and it's very heavy, so I will prefer flip.
The main problem is fragility of the phone. If it falls, it can be shattered. It is we have to handle it with care. The repair cost goes up to 50 to 60,000.
Buying an Apple foldable or just generally no?
I think other companies have already come with Samsung, the hinge technology, the Motorola has great technology. I feel Apple, by doing it, it does go ahead, but would not make a big difference since it's already been worked on for
But now that Google, OnePlus, Oppo, everyone has gotten into this foldable race, would you want to give it a chance?
I wouldn't mind to give it a try, but then again looking towards the people's experiences, after some point of time there are drawbacks of the foldable phone. So I feel the regular phones are much more long lasting, and again it also depends upon the function. If I want to use it I need a bigger pad, because if I'm a sketcher or anything, so foldable phone are much more will come handy to me. So hence at that moment I'll prefer a foldable phone.
Concerns regarding the hinges, the glass and the body, and even affordability. These are the leading concerns.
'23's biggest terror expose. The most deadly terror toolkit unraveled. This news break will quake India. Terror tentacles spreading, India beware. The ISIS Files exclusive. The big focus on 6 p.m. Prime.
Hello and welcome to an India Today special broadcast. I'm Gaurav Sawant. The information we're about to give you is based on detailed investigations that have been carried out in a terror plot. This is not intelligence-based information, but evidence that has been painstakingly gathered and is now being submitted in courts of law. And this evidence, this information is extremely dangerous and sinister. It points to a huge plot to burn India, where educated young Muslim youth are being radicalized from across the border. Much more on this big story, but first, as always, the headlines. Delhi for Rahul Gandhi. He remains disqualified as Member of Parliament. Gujarat High Court calls his conviction just and legal. Says refusing a stay on conviction will not result in justice. Congress cries foul over Gujarat High Court verdict on Rahul Gandhi. Says they will move the Supreme Court next. BJP calls Rahul Gandhi a habitual offender in defamation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attends the Gita Press Centenary celebrations weeks after Mahatma Gandhi Peace Prize controversy flags off 3 Vande Bharat Express trains. BJP announces new teams for 4 assembly elections. Prahlad Joshi given charge of Rajasthan, Prakash Javadekar for Telangana. Delhi court takes cognizance of sexual harassment case against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, summons the wrestling body chief on the 18th of July. After the launch of Twitter's alternative Threads app, Elon Musk threatens to sue Meta over unlawful misappropriation of Twitter's trade secrets. The ISIS files is our top focus story. The National Investigation Agency probing the Mangaluru cylinder blast case, remember this is a terror attack that took place last year, has unveiled a very sinister Islamic State plot to bleed India. In this India Today exclusive report, this chart sheet has been accessed exclusively by India Today. We bring you details of the Islamic State terror plot, how the conspiracy was hatched. There's a handler called Colonel. How Colonel was out to radicalize not just young Muslim youth, but Muslim youth who were studying either engineering or wanting to study robotics. How they wanted to recruit other young Muslim boys to carry out a series of terror attacks in India. They were being taught to hurl Molotov cocktails, carry out reconnaissance, carry out recce, target marketplaces that have furniture, oil, electronics, and also target places of worship to fan communal tensions in India.
This was the moment when a pressure cooker went off in an auto in Karnataka's Mangaluru in November 2022. What was first believed to be a mishap then turned out to be a sinister terror plot. The cooker bomb, which was meant to be planted at a public place, exploded in a moving auto rickshaw, injuring the main accused, Sharik, who was later arrested. The National Investigating Agency, which carried out an extensive probe, has now unveiled a shocking ISIS terror plot brewing in Karnataka, and the details will shock you. India Today is the only channel to access NIA's supplementary charge sheet, which details the radicalization plot, the ISIS training for terrorists, and the men behind this cooker terror case. The targets: temples and Hindu outfits, and an attempt to spread communal hate across the country. The NIA probe has revealed that 9 accused terrorists were all under the wing of an online handler who went by the name of Colonel. Colonel, who is yet to be identified and tracked down by authorities, used end-to-end encrypted communication platforms to stay in touch with these terrorists and radicalize youngsters. Colonel would share videos on how to assassinate people, how to make petrol bombs, and carry out arson with the recruits. He also shared training videos of ISIS fighters and Islamic preachings on jihad to turn the recruits into assassins and suicide bombers. India Today has also accessed WhatsApp chats between the colonel and one of the accused.
This is called Molotov. Learn how to make it and practice a bit of it. Essential skill for a guerrilla fighter. To begin with, practice throwing bottles and better your aim and throwing skills. At least you should have a couple of arson jobs in your pocket by the time you finish your engineering. Something small like burning a bus or a train or some wooden bridge, etc. It should seem like some miscreant work or accidental fire. It is important you pass through this phase. As work increases, there will be regular operations. Whole of India will become like Kashmir. There will be paramilitary and police everywhere, especially in Muslim areas.
But how did these terror accused fly under the radar for so long? For starters, the accused received funds only in the form of cryptocurrency from the colonel. They used exchanges which did not follow KYC norms. The funds would be sent into crypto wallets of their friends and even far-off acquaintances. They would then collect it and convert it into cash. All 9 terror accused are now behind bars. But here's what's shocking. A deep dive by India Today into their profiles has confirmed that 5 out of the 9 terrorists came from a tech background. They were well educated but clearly wanted to use their qualifications to spread terror. These terrorists planned to pursue robotic courses to carry out terror attacks.
I would prefer you work in high-tech industry, something like defense production or petrochemicals or chemicals. You would need a cover in any case. So being in a critical industry would give us an insider knowledge of how to sabotage these industries, which form the backbone of any nation.
The NIA charge sheet has established beyond a doubt that the ISIS is trying hard to spread its terror tentacles across the country, planning multiple attacks and using online jihad to target and radicalize youngsters.
India Today accessed the exclusive copies of supplementary charge sheet filed by NIA in connection with Mangalore cooker blast attack. In this particular charge sheet, we have learned that how the radicalization of these jihadis has been done. A colonel from ISIS was trying to train these jihadis to make bombs at home, and apart from them, he has also asked others also to learn the robotic techniques to attack in prominent places in India through that. And he have also asked all the accused to get recruited in defense organizations like BL, BHEL, as well as a DRDO. And they were transferring enough money to all these accused to ensure that they execute their terror plot across the country. With Shiv Aroor reporting for India Today, Bengaluru.
I want to tell you a little more about some of these accused. Let's take a look at accused 1 or A1 in this case. His name is Sharik. What more do we know of Sharik? Sharik was part of a conspiracy to carry out a terror attack at sensitive locations in India. He was also tasked to recruit some of the other accused. He was tasked to carry out a reconnaissance, figure out where bombs would be placed, and how to make Molotov cocktails or petrol bombs. Educated young Muslim youth. Let's now talk about A2, Maz Munir Ahmed. Now, this is not intelligence-based information. This is a charge sheet after detailed investigation by India's National Investigation Agency. It's a premier investigation agency. Now, he was tasked to carry out trial bombs, put together an improvised explosive device. In fact, since he's educated, since he has a technical bent of mind, according to investigators, he was tasked to first take internship at a robotics course. And why remotely controlled IEDs and use robotics for the IEDs to be in midst of a crowd and then carry out a blast, where also figure out how to enter the Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, and other such sensitive locations. Also converted cryptocurrency into regular money to carry out the terror projects. Let's now go to accused number 3, Syed Yassin. Syed Yassin, again, now you have the picture put out by National Investigation Agency. Investigations say Syed Yassin is the accused who pieced together some of the raw material, procured raw material to make the IEDs, made these IEDs and conducted trial blasts before the real test. A4 or accused number 4 is Rishan Tajuddin Sheikh. Rishan Tajuddin Sheikh, that man you see on your television screen, according to the National Investigation Agency, converted cryptocurrency, was tasked to arrange funds, and he's the one who gave money. A4 gave money to A2, which is Maz, to procure a scooter. The scooter was to be procured for not just recce, but for a scooter-borne improvised explosive device. Let's now talk about A5, accused number 5, Hussein Farhan Beg. Hussein Farhan Beg, according to NIA, converted cryptocurrency for terror funds. Very, very dangerous activities. He also was tasked to scan for hideouts. Where could people stay to carry out reconnaissance? A6, accused number 6, is Mazin Abdul Rahman. Again, his task, Mazin Abdul Rahman's task, according to National Investigation Agency, was to radicalize youngsters, to bring in youngsters, use social media platforms to, 1, radicalize youth, bring them into the fold of this outfit, and then train them to carry out terror activities. Let's now move forward to A7, accused number 7, Nadeem Ahmed. Now, Nadeem Ahmed K.A., according to the National Investigation Agency, arranged for a location for training and for trial explosives, for the use of explosives in a jungle area. So he organized a trekking camp, jungle survival course. Now this happened in the Kodagu area, helped recruits carry out these trial runs in a forested area. I now want to quickly cut across to India Today's Sagai Raj. We have more, Zabiullah procured the boxes for A1, helped A1 put together these bombs. Now you're looking at these images. What are the revelations? We'll talk about revelations in greater detail, how they recruited people, how bombs were made. And in this instance, you're looking at that image, how NIA got to this task. They saw the explosive being taken. It's just that the nation got very lucky. The explosion happened in the hands of the accused himself. Now, influenced and recruited jihadis. This is what they were doing. I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Sagai Raj for more on this. Sagai, while we know about these accused and the NIA charge sheet, what more do we know of this individual called the Colonel?
So he's a mastermind. He was a recruiter, he was a trainer, he was a project manager. If you are working in a corporate company, you have all this designation in a corporate company. And similarly, ISS had one person to do all these things. He was a person who was training all these accused to get involved in the terror plots. He was giving an idea where you have to go ahead and do your internship, where you have to get a job. So he has asked all these accused to join companies like DRDO, companies like BHEL, BEL, and he has also asked to join some petrochemical company to understand the process, how it works. Imagine, Gaurav, if all these accused have joined these kind of companies which supplies defense equipments, manufacture defense equipments for Indian Army, and imagine that they know how it works, and if at all if they would have gone there, definitely it would have been a disaster for the country. And he has also asked to have some kind of arson and violence and other things to be done much before you get into these jihadi activities. So these are the parameters for them. Go ahead and burn a vehicle which belongs to a higher class Hindu community people.
Okay, stay with me. I want to bring in our guest into this conversation. Now, the plot was to keep India on the boil. Joining me on the broadcast is
Dr. Vikram Singh, former Director General of the Uttar Pradesh Police, somebody who's tracked Islamic State terrorists very closely. Radical Islamist terror is something that he's been battling. Lieutenant General Syed Atta Hasnain, again, one of our best-known security analysts in the country, former Kashmir Corps commander, has de-radicalized a number of youth in the Kashmir Valley, and Saira Shah Halim. And I want to begin by asking you, Saira Shah Halim, when the Prime Minister says, ek haath mein Quran, dusre haath mein computer, Islamic State terrorists seem to be a step ahead. Use that computer education to their advantage for terror attacks. Where are we going wrong in de-radicalizing these elements?
See, radicalization has to be condemned. Now, whoever is radicalizing the youth or is involved in any kind of terrorist organization has to be nabbed, because this kind of terrorist activities will not be tolerated by anybody, cut across whichever spectrum. So I think if the NIA has done its job, if these people have been found guilty, then they deserve to be punished, because India will not tolerate any kind of terrorism or extremism in its soil. It's very, very clear. And I think we should give a very resounding message that anyone who is radicalizing the youth or anybody who is found guilty in trying to implicate anybody, or trying to put bombs, or whether it's in a pressure cooker or anywhere else, has to be given a very, very stern message that this will not be tolerated. And I think there should be zero tolerance towards
zero tolerance for terror. I completely agree, but I want to get into the mindset not just of those who are radicalizing, but even these elements who are getting radicalized. You live in India and you're out to burn India. General Hasnain, what do you make of this? That these are educated young men who should actually be, taking this country forward. They are the ones who are being tasked to carry out an attack in a temple, at something like a DRDO, any facility that would take this country forward, destroy that, destroy peace in India.
You need to go back to 2014, when the ISIS came into being. If you remember, the kind of importance which was given to information technology and networking. May I remind our audience, 2015 February, a gentleman called Shami Witness, who was caught in Bangalore. He was running the ISIS account from Bangalore for a period of 8 months. The complete social media of the ISIS was being handled from there. That's the kind of importance the ISIS gave information technology. 40,000 fighters from internationally and people from high-end society, well-educated people, were motivated, inspired to come and join ISIS in Iraq and Syria, which was actually something very, very shocking. India was at a lower end at that time, the lower end of targeting at that particular time. But that seems to have dried up. And after the defeat in Mosul in 2018-19, the ISIS went into what is called a network state. It's not in a physical state, but in a network state. The networks once again came to the prime. And was finding most of this is being probably handled from Afghanistan, portions of ungoverned spaces in Pakistan. And may I remind everyone also the Sri Lankan tragedy, April 2019, you remember the connection of the ISIS with Coimbatore. So we have got all these connections in southern India at the moment we are looking at. And it is the better educated that we are looking at people essentially who can get into robotics, for example. Robotics is a domain which is very, very important for those who are planning terror attacks. Because that keeps a terrorist safe for himself and, sort of endangers everyone else around him. So there's no doubt your contention absolutely correct that these are educated people. How have they got radicalized? Now, this is the question which much of the world is asking, not just in India, internationally.
No, and this cannot be brushed under the carpet. This cannot be brushed under the carpet. Dr. Vikram Singh, this cannot be dealt with, with kid gloves. Such elements need to be weeded out of the system. Imagine he was living amongst all of us and people would say, अरे पढ़ा लिखा मुसलमान है, he's studying robotics, he's educated, he's doing well. He's the one who's been caught with a pressure cooker bomb that he was going to plant in a temple. Fortunately for the country, that pressure cooker bomb went off in his hands or the nation would have suffered, sir.
Very well articulated, Gaurav ji. And yes, General Ata Hassan Sahab has explained the origin, the genesis, and the evolution of the ISIS. I'll come now to the bottom that in the present case, these 9 arrests, I would compliment the NIA like Shaira Sahiba, and also that it is now more than radicalization, and there are unmistakable footprints of the handling of these 9 by the ISI. Because with my experience of handling all of them, there is a handler who is known by some either major or a captain or a colonel, depending upon the seriousness of the operation. And there's a system of cutoff. We have a system of cutoff. One is arranging the logistics, the other is arranging the hideout, the other is arranging the targets, the other is arranging the dry runs. So the baptism part is over. Radicalization happened much earlier. Now it is the wiring of the mind to go in, where to go and how to go about. And that wiring of the mind is being adjusted and monitored by the colonel. The dangerous thing now, Gaurav ji, is to understand the ramifications. They were introduced to robotics. I would say the other 2 disruptive technologies, artificial intelligence and the drone technology, also are a cause of concern. But I think that we have it in us to neutralize not only them. And let me also assure you, these are not representatives. General Ata Hasnan Sahab, I salute you. You represent the Muslims of India. Saira Sahiba represents the Muslims of India. These are misguided youth, and I say misguided. Normally, I would have used very harsh word, but yes, they are youngsters. They have been misguided, and radicalization is something like the pandemic. It has to be addressed not only in India but the world over. And
but clearly not with an aspirin. You know, this is that cancer of terror cannot be dealt with. Aspirin has to have harsh chemotherapy if you need to sort this out, if you have to sort out the cancer of terror. But, you know, they're being shown videos of beheading. They are being taught how to behead. They are being taught how to assassinate. They are being taught how to make Molotov cocktails. And Saira Shah Halim, it's almost like a tutorial, and we've played out what that colonel was guiding them according to the National Investigation Agency. Go carry out a Molotov cocktail attack. See how far you can hurl the petrol bomb. It's almost as if they are being graded, marked, and then cleared for the next class, madam. The problem appears to be huge.
Yeah, so firstly, we need to ascertain who the handlers are, because if these handlers are training them to conduct these terrorist activities, those handlers needs to be nabbed first, you know, who are radicalizing the youth and spoiling the future, and you know, in return the country is suffering. So we need to find out firstly who the handlers are, and these people must be getting used as pawns. Either ways, it is very, very tragic, and I think all of them, be it the handlers, be it the ones who are perpetuating these crimes, these terrorist activities, they need to be nabbed at the earliest, and we need to send a very strong precedence to the country at large that we will have a zero tolerance towards any kind of radicalization, terrorism, or any kind of extremist activities going on in the country.
General Hasnain, when you read through this charge sheet, the task that the so-called handler, who's identified as a colonel by the NIA, or according to these individuals, A1 to A9, apparently systematically told them to target the economy in their area. Go target a marketplace. Go target a furniture, an area where there's a lot of furniture, where there's a lot of petrol. So that way, they ensure that there's a massive fire, there's loss of life, use incendiary material, and ensure you come out safe. It's almost as if there's military-grade planning where these people are the foot soldiers of the terror plot against India.
Gaurav, I would strongly recommend, if someone wants to really study this well, watch a film, and surprisingly the film is from Pakistan, a film called Khuda Ke Liye.
Yes.
It will actually show you how a perfectly well-educated person, absolutely non-radicalized, how he lands up in the hands of the handlers which Saira ji was just talking about. You land up in the hands of a handler who slowly gets to your mind and starts changing your mind. And that individual can then start leading two parallel lives. One life in the public and one life in the private. This is a very typical thing happening to many young people in the Islamic world. And unfortunately, it becomes very difficult for intelligence agencies to be able to home on to them. Most of them are experts in all these issues of terrorism, technologies which are involved in it, and there is so much of subversion behind all that, that after a period of time, the mind is completely changed. You're absolutely right. This is starting small. Choti shuruaat. That is small marketplaces, a scooter bomb here and there. Later, you'll find network things like it happened in Mumbai in 1993. 30, 40 blasts at one time. Now, for that, you require an army of trained people who go surreptitiously into these areas and leave behind these bombs in all these kind of places. So this becomes more and more sinister over a period of time.
In fact, since you mentioned the 1993 Mumbai blasts, Dr. Vikram Singh, in that case, whether it was Dawood Ibrahim Kaskar or Tiger Memon or the planters of those bombs, they were actually first taken to Dubai, then from Dubai to Pakistan, where they learned how to make bombs, then back to Dubai, back to India, and then they carried out those horrendous terror attacks in which 257 people were killed in 13 blasts and more than 700 were injured. In this case, sir, nobody is being sent to Pakistan. Nobody is going to Dubai. It's happening in the jungles of Kerala, Karnataka, and in those areas where these educated Muslim boys are making bombs, using incendiary material, carrying out these pressure cooker blasts, and God forbid, if they get access to bigger explosives, there would be another 1993 kind of a serial blast situation.
Gauravji, comparison should be between comparables. 1993 is almost history now, and 2022-23 is very different. The information technology and the rogue apps, the encrypted apps, will not require anybody to go to Dubai. You can sit wherever you are, and your mind will be radicalized. Repetition, internalization, and then it becomes habit. And also the incendiary material, how to procure them, how to fabricate bombs, how to make bombs from whatever ingredients are available in the home kitchen or from the nearby grocer. That is what the technology has given. The negative side of this technology is. Therefore, all the more reason that people have to be alert that the radicalization and the symptoms of radicalizations, one has to be extremely observant and vigilant to see that the youngsters are not privy to any malignant influence. And to Ms. Shara Shah Aleem's, I totally agree. It is not only to be dealt with zero tolerance, but also not nipped in the bud, but crushed in the bud immediately. And the entire might of a resolute nation must come down heavily on the handlers and those who subscribe to this negative philosophy.
How do you stop this radicalization? So, Saira Shah Aleem, my worry is the handlers may be across the border. Catching them is more difficult. How do you ensure that they don't have an environment here to exploit? How do these youth get de-radicalized? Shouldn't that effort come from within the community? Because anyone talking to them from outside the community may not have the same impact. This is the time for the community to ensure that such elements, one, are weeded out, two, no such elements are created.
See, we've noticed that whenever any terror attack happens, people from across the spectrum, people from the Muslim community, people from the majority community, everybody speaks in one language and they condemn these terrorist activities in unison. So definitely, what happens is when there are terror attacks like that, unfortunately, the entire Muslim community gets a bad name because of the activities of a few radicalized terrorists. And I think it is very, very sad and unfortunate, and the people are kind of feel that they need to write and condemn these activities on the social media, whereas they've got nothing to do, because an average Muslim is busy earning his daily bread. He doesn't even have this at the back of his or her mind to commit these crimes, because it's so hard to be a daily laborer, to be a normal educated working person and come back home and feed the family. That is all they're thinking about. However, these few individuals give a very bad name to the community, and I think not just the Muslim community, everybody, including the majority, minority, everybody needs to speak in one voice and condemn these activities so that there's a more peaceful environment in the country, and these radical youths are nipped in the bud, the handlers are nipped in the bud, and any kind of, and the message is
No, but
sent out loud and clear.
that change, General Hasnain, because you've dealt with it in Kashmir and at a very difficult time. That change has to come from within the community. How do you deal with somebody like this Huzair Farhan Beg, who, according to the NIA, was converting crypto money for terror funds, or Sayyid Yasin, or Rishan Tajuddin, or the other A1 to A9, General Hasnain?
See, Gaurav, firstly, I must compliment you on the quality of your panel. What an outstanding panel that you have been able to put together on this subject. Having said that, let me tell you that counter-radicalization, de-radicalization has to start with a stronger narrative than the narrative which is being played by the terrorists. Now, therefore, you have to identify what is the narrative which is going on in the campaign of getting, terrorists on your side, of getting young people into the domain of terrorism. Those narratives have to be studied by experts, people who know Islam very well, people who know society and culture very well. They are the ones who have to come into this and prepare those narratives. Secondly, a mistake which most nations make, they bring in all kinds of military, police, and intelligence people perhaps into this domain, which is very good, no doubt. But the one set of people they always miss out are the clerics themselves.
Yes.
Tom, it is in Singapore that you have probably one of the finest models, the Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia model, which has got 75 clerics who are called, I think, the internet imams, they are called. So that they are the people to whom all the youngsters who have doubts in their minds, they can access them and clarify those doubts on culture and religion. Now, if you've got that available, you can advertise it immensely and make sure that any young person who's falling into this kind of a trap gets an opportunity to access this kind of advice from the internet imams. It is immensely helpful.
While they may have the internet imams, India has its fair share of Zakir Naiks, who stand accused of radicalizing youth, not just in India, but even in Bangladesh and other neighboring countries. I mean, such a misfortune, Dr. Vikram Singh, for countries like India, where these A1 to A9, these accused, are being told to target India's economy, target India's society, target temples, target marketplaces, target institutions of development, institutions of science, like the Defense Research and Development Organization?
Cause of concern, Gauravji, but I would really say there are rogue elements everywhere. Rogue elements in the police, rogue elements in the majority community, rogue elements in the army. And yes, those microscopic minority will have to be dealt with. You very rightly mentioned, we have Zakir Naik also as the curse. But we have blessings like General Ata Hasnain Sahab. We have blessings like Maulana Madni Sahab. Yes, we can have and adapt the best international practices and ensure that our program of de-radicalization is on the same lines as that exists in Singapore, Indonesia, and Malaysia. And we can do a better job because our think tank is immensely a generation ahead of all the others in the world, I dare say that. And therefore, we can, instead of being on the back foot always, we can take things by the forehand and then be proactive in this measure and ensure proper de-radicalization happens with malice towards none.
But you're absolutely right, sir. But Saira Shah Halim, in a country, and we're so proud of being such a vibrant democracy. But for vote bank politics, a lot is said which actually may color the minds of these individuals and these youngsters. So how is it that the political class, and since you wear multiple hats, the political class for once needs to put India first, Saira?
Absolutely. Firstly, like I said, that it's unfortunate that the radicalization, terrorism, and any kind of incitement happens, in the country, and this is to polarize the voters. This is to gain some kind of mileage during elections, and it's unfortunate that anyone who is making incendiary comments or making spiteful comments or inciting the public, be it a mass leader or be it anybody who's trying to radicalize the youth, it is very, very tragic, because end of the day, election is fought on policy. Election is fought on which political party did what for the people. Election is not fought on religion. However,
And
religion
that
has
is why nobody
permeated
should give cover
political
fire.
parties.
No one should give cover fire to such elements, A1 to A9, and the other A1s and A9s that may be there who are out to burn India. And General Hasnain, last comment on the broadcast before I take a break here. Very clearly, the state must go after such elements, and those who give them cover fire, showing no mercy. So, you know, that policy of an iron fist and a velvet glove, does that need to be used here?
You see, yes, there's no doubt about it, but that doctrine, that strategy has to be used very carefully. Sometimes what happens is that the army, the intelligence agencies, the police or the paramilitary get accused of excesses, and they themselves get so drawn back that the proactivity which should be involved in this kind of a campaign is sometimes missing. So we have to be very, very careful while doing this kind of a thing. We need to treat them with kid gloves, there's no doubt. But the moment you identify culprits and the moment you identify handlers, you should go after them with a sense of vengeance completely. Weed them out completely. Networks are the most important thing here.
Yes.
You have to make sure that overground workers, half the time you'll find that these people are not underground. They are people very well available in society, who are respected members of society and are leading dual lives. They are the ones who have to be identified, and they have to be exposed well in time.
Absolutely. I will let that be the last word on this part of the broadcast. As always, Saira Shah Halim, Dr. Vikram Singh and General Sayyadata Hasnain for joining me on this India First special. Many thanks. And also, special thanks to my colleague Sagai Raj for this explosive, exclusive investigative report. A quick break. News and updates continue on India Today. Stay with us.
Putting people first. Just look at the queues right across. About asking the right questions to those in power. Is money power being used to bring down elected governments? Who will be held accountable for ministerial corruption? It takes no sides.
माँ का दर्द एक दर्द कोई नहीं समझ सकता उस दर्द को.
It reveals. It heals. Angry people came out on the streets.
Is this the kind of justice system we want in this country?
News is all heart and no hatred.
बिल्किस बानो आज क्या कहना चाहेंगी आप?
हमारे साथ जो हुआ है किसी के साथ भी नहीं होना चाहिए.
Experience the news. With me, Rajdeep Sardesai, only on India Today.
Kill India rallies. Bid to set consulates on fire. Threats to diplomats. Unrestricted by any authorities, the Khalistani groups across the United States, Canada and the United Kingdom are having a free run. Just days after an attempt was made to set the Indian consulate in San Francisco ablaze, a new Khalistani rally is being planned in the United Kingdom. A poster promoting a Khalistan Kill India rally outside the Indian High Commission in London on July 8 has surfaced. The poster carries images of Indian High Commissioner to the UK Vikram Doraiswamy and the Consul General of India in Birmingham Dr. Shashank Vikram. Similar posters targeting Indian diplomats were seen outside Indian missions in Canada, US and Australia. According to intelligence agency sources, Khalistanis like Gurpatwant Singh, Pannu and other K groups are openly getting help from Pakistani spy agency ISI. These acts have lit a major diplomatic and political fire. notoriously soft on Khalistani terrorists, Canada has failed to take action against Khalistanis. On the contrary, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has gone on to accuse India of false remarks and asserted that Canada takes every kind of threat very seriously. Trudeau is being accused of pandering to the Khalistani vote bank in that country.
They are wrong. Canada has always taken extremely seriously violence and threats of violence. We've always taken serious action against terrorism, and we always will. We have an extremely diverse country, and freedom of expression is something that we have, but we will always make sure that we are pushing back against violence and extremism in all its forms.
The media reports about comments by Prime Minister Trudeau, but let me make the larger point that the issue is not about freedom of expression, but its misuse for advocating violence, for propagating separatism, and for legitimizing terrorism.
The fine words and sentiments apart, it is a fact that Canada has tolerated Khalistani provocations against India for a long time. The United States, on the other hand, has assured that steps shall be taken to ensure the safety and security of Indian diplomats.
We take very seriously the safety and security of diplomats that are living in the United States. We have been in close contact with Indian authorities, with local law enforcement. We are trying to take the necessary steps to ensure that Indian diplomatic community feels safe and secure here, and we'll continue with that work going forward.
Quality today. In Delhi, 176. In Mumbai, 31. In Kolkata, 45. In Bangalore, 35. In Chennai, 70. In Hyderabad, 87.
Big story breaking here on India Today. The Central Bureau of Investigation has made the first arrest in the Balasore train tragedy investigations. The CBI has arrested 3 employees of the Indian Railways in the Balasore train incident. All 3 arrested have been booked under Section 304 of the Indian Penal Code. 304 is culpable homicide not amounting to murder. Section 201 has also been added. This is equally important, causing disappearance of evidence of offence or giving false information to screen an offender. This is Section 201 of the Indian Penal Code. So the 3 arrested have been arrested under these 2 sections, and they include a junior section engineer and a technician. The accused are Arun Kumar Mahant. He is the section engineer. He is the senior section engineer here. Muhammad Amir Khan is the junior section engineer, and Pappu Kumar is the technician who has been arrested. And I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Munish Pandey, breaking this big story first here on India Today. Munish, what more can you tell us about their specific role that's under investigation currently?
Well, Dora, at this point of time, I have been going to understand by a senior source within the Central Bureau of Investigation that all 3 were questioned by the Central Bureau of Investigation on multiple occasions. There were forensic reports which they were waiting, and after getting all the details, all these 3 have been arrested. I spoke to the officer. I asked him specifically that whether this is a case of sabotage, whether this is a case where these 3 intentionally did something because of which the accident or incident, we can say it's not a case of accident now, it's a case of incident. But the officer told me that all three of them, and this becomes extremely important here, all three of them had this knowledge that what they are going to do may lead to something like this, and this is why Section 304 had been added. If there was an intent, then Section 302, that is a murder case, would have been lodged against them. But at this point of time, the CBI maintains that all three of them had knowledge, and that is why they have been arrested by the Central Bureau of Investigation. Also, Section 201 has been added because all three of them were trying to destroy the evidence in the case, and that is why it becomes extremely important.
Keep tracking that story, Munish. I will come back to you for more. For the moment, Munish Pandey, many thanks. Time now for us to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is now in his parliamentary constituency. He's in Kashi. He was in Gorakhpur earlier this evening. He spoke at the Gita Press Centenary celebrations. He's also flagged off Vande Bharat Express, details coming up.
आजकल हम देख रहे हैं कि यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड के नाम पर ऐसे लोगों को भड़काने का काम हो रहा है। आप मुझे बताइए, एक घर में परिवार के एक सदस्य के लिए एक कानून हो, परिवार के दूसरे सदस्य के लिए दूसरा कानून हो, तो क्या वो घर चल पाएगा? क्या कभी भी चल पाएगा क्या?
Ever since Prime Minister Modi has made his big UCC pitch, politics over it has only snowballed. With opposition already divided over implementation of Uniform Civil Code, latest to dissent is BJP's own ally, AIADMK.
ஏற்கனவே 2019 நாடாளுமன்ற தேர்தலில் எங்களுடைய அனைத்து இந்திய அண்ணா திராவிட முன்னேற்ற கழகத்தினுடைய தேர்தல் அறிக்கையில படிச்சு பாருங்க, அதுல தெளிவா கொடுத்திருக்கிறோம்.
Tamil Nadu CM lashed out at the centre, calling UCC proposal yet another example of his dictator rule.
மதத்தை, சனாதனத்தை இன்றைக்கு மக்களிடத்திலே திணித்து ஒரு சர்வாதிகார ஆட்சியை இன்றைக்கு அவர்கள் நடத்தி கொண்டிருக்கிறார்கள். அந்த பொது சிவில் சட்டம் என்பது நாட்டிலே ஏற்கனவே சிவில் சட்டம், கிரிமினல் சட்டம் என்ற சட்டங்கள் இருக்கிறது.
BJP, however, calls Uniform Civil Code Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने सभी का आह्वान किया है और हम सब भी चाहते हैं लागू हो, और सबका साथ सबका विकास सबके विश्वास के साथ लागू हो, और इसमें कहीं कोई मानसिक रूप से अपने आप को दिक्कत में न समझे, हम सबको साथ लेकर के चलेंगे.
The All India Muslim Personal Law Board has been relentlessly opposing UCC since the day it gathered steam, claiming that the Muslim personal law was an inalienable part of Muslim identity and Muslims would never lose their identity.
ऑलरेडी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने हर हिंदुस्तानी को रिलीजियस फ्रीडम एज अ फंडामेंटल राइट गारंटी किया है, तो वो राइट हर हिंदुस्तानी के पास बरकरार रखना चाहिए, उसको छीनने का किसी को हक और इख्तियार नहीं है.
An unofficial group of senior ministers has been formed that will deliberate upon the various issues related to UCC. This group will be chaired by Union Minister Kiran Rijiju. Battle lines drawn over UCC amid speculations that the Modi government is readying to table the One Nation, One Law bill in the monsoon session. Bureau Report, India Today.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 36 and minimum 26 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 30 and minimum 25 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 32 and minimum 27 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 26 and minimum 21 degrees. Chennai, maximum 35 and minimum 27 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 30 and minimum 22 degrees.
Why does this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mo.
Kerala's public health, all political parties traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold, and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories from every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Will it be Jagan Mohan Reddy or Chandrababu Naidu for BJP? Andhra CM Jagan Mohan Reddy's sudden visit to Delhi has set off tongues wagging. And on the agenda was a meeting with Prime Minister Modi. Besides questions over whether a possible BJP-YSR-CP alliance was in the works. Sources have told India Today that Jagan has sought Prime Minister Modi's opinion on preponing elections in Andhra to 2023. India Today's news break has sent ripples through the state of Andhra and sparked speculation on whether Jagan was looking to ride on the current political momentum to seal another term. But YSRCP is tight-lipped on the possibility of state elections being moved from 2024 to 2023.
They're supposed to give a special status for Andhra Pradesh, and also along with this special status, they have to give the special package for the backward districts in Andhra Pradesh, like Bundelkhand. So we are hoping that Centre and PM Narendra Modi ji will sanction all these pending payments and organizations and institutions and payment, whatever the pending promises they made.
But why will Jagan mull preponing the elections in the state? How could he benefit? Seeing the national opposition unity attempts, Jagan may be counting on giving no time to the likes of TDP to form alliances. He could also be hoping to ride the current political momentum in Andhra and also may be taking lessons from neighbouring Telangana, where CM KCR preponed polls in 2018. If this does happen, pressure will mount on TDP to seal the deal with BJP, something that's reportedly hit one hurdle after another. Sources have told India Today that BJP's alliance talks with TDP haven't progressed, reportedly because Naidu's unhappy with BJP's closeness to Jagan. But the party has for now countered all talks of a BJP-YSRCP alliance.
We
don't find any possibility where Jagan Reddy will either be inducted into the NDA or the BJP aligning with Jagan Reddy for the next forthcoming elections. In one scenario, we can say that Jagan Reddy is kind of a most untouchable person in Indian politics today because he is the most corrupt politician.
With the BJP eyeing more allies to join the NDA ahead of 2024, speculation is peaking on who could join the alliance. Will it be Naidu's TDP or Jagan's YSRCP? With Abdul Bashir in Hyderabad and Himanshu Mishra in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 36 and minimum 26 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 30 and minimum 25 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 32 and minimum 27 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 26 and minimum 21 degrees. Chennai, maximum 35 and minimum 27 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 30 and minimum 22 degrees.
You are watching India Today.
Good evening, you're watching Mission 2024 and the Prime Minister practically on his Mission 2024 from his own parliamentary constituency of Varanasi, announcing over 12,000 crore SOPs in terms of projects, rolling them out this evening. We're going to cut across to that, but first up, let me take you through the headlines. No relief for Rahul Gandhi, remains disqualified as MP. Gujarat High Court calls conviction illegal, just and legal. Says refusing stay on conviction will not result in injustice. Congress cries foul over Gujarat High Court verdict on Rahul Gandhi, says will move Supreme Court next. BJP calls Rahul a habitual offender in defamation. Prime Minister Modi attends the Gita Press centenary celebrations in Gorakhpur weeks after Gandhi Peace Prize controversy. Flags off 3 Vande Bharat trains from Gorakhpur Junction. BJP announces new team for 4 assembly polls. Prahlad Joshi given charge of Rajasthan. Prakash Javadekar in charge, Telangana. Delhi court takes cognizance of sexual harassment case against Brij Bhushan, summons wrestling body chief on July 18th. After launch of Twitter alternative thread app, Musk threatens to sue Meta over unlawful misappropriation of Twitter's trade secrets. Indian Air Force releases special badges for Bastille Day celebrations in Paris, France. 3 Indian Air Force Rafale jets to fly past for Bastille Day. Prime Minister Modi to be guest of honor. All right, viewers, let's take you now directly to Varanasi. Banaras Prime Minister Modi in Varanasi, his own parliamentary constituency, after he inaugurated 3 Vande Bharat trains at the Gorakhpur Junction and also attended the centenary celebrations of Gita Press in Gorakhpur. Prime Minister Modi reached Varanasi and is all set now to inaugurate several developmental schemes. We are talking to the tune of 12,000 crores, viewers. Many looking at it as the kickstart of Prime Minister Modi's 2024 Mission 2024, like the show there. Earlier, he did attend, like I told you, the closing ceremony of the Gita Press centenary celebrations in Gorakhpur, weeks after his government conferred the Gandhi Peace Prize for the year 2021 on the publishers. The decision triggered a political controversy, with the Congress calling the move a travesty and compared it to awarding Hindutva ideologue Savarkar. Let's cut across right now. Prime Minister Modi speaking.
माता अन्नपूर्णा की जय, गंगा मैया की जय। उत्तर प्रदेश की राज्यपाल आनंदीबेन पटेल, मुख्यमंत्री श्रीमान योगी आदित्यनाथ जी, केंद्रीय मंत्रिमंडल के मेरे साथीगण, यूपी सरकार के मंत्रीगण, सांसद और विधायकगण, अलग अलग योजनाओं के सभी लाभार्थी और काशी के मेरे प्यारे भाइयों और बहनों, सावन के महीने की शुरुआत हो, बाबा विश्वनाथ और मां गंगा का आशीर्वाद हो और बनारस के लोगों का साथ हो, फिर तो जीवन बिल्कुल धन्य हो जाता है। मैं जानता हूं कि आजकल काशी के आप लोग बहुत व्यस्त हैं। काशी में रौनक जरा ज्यादा ही हो रही है आजकल। देश दुनिया से हजारों शिव भक्त यहां हर रोज बाबा को जल चढ़ाने पहुंच रहे हैं और इस बार तो सावन की अवधि भी जरा अधिक है। ऐसे में इस बार बाबा के दर्शन के लिए रिकॉर्ड संख्या में श्रद्धालुओं का आना तय है, लेकिन इन सब के साथ एक और बात तय है। अब जे भी बनारस आई तो खुश होके ही जाई। मुझे बहुत ज्यादा चिंता नहीं होती कि इतने सारे लोग आएंगे, बनारस में सब कैसे मैनेज होगा। काशी के लोग तो मुझे सिखा देते हैं, मैं उनको कोई